Imagine driving down the road and someone cuts you off without an apology. Your natural reaction might be to feel angry, yell, or honk the horn. But if you pause, take a breath, and consider the situation, you might realize that the person is in a rush, stressed, or distracted. Instead of letting your anger control you, you can choose to forgive and move on, allowing yourself to remain calm and in control of your emotions. Conclusion: forgiveness and understanding lead to peace. Ultimately, the most important lesson Stoicism teaches us is understanding and forgiveness. We all make mistakes, and often we don't even realize we're doing it. When others wrong us, remember that they didn't do it on purpose. They just didn't know any better. Instead of responding with anger and judgment, choose understanding and forgiveness. This not only helps you maintain inner peace, but also builds a more compassionate and kind world. As Marcus Aurelius said, remember that no one does wrong willingly, and this will help you treat them more gently. By applying this philosophy to our daily lives, we can live a more peaceful, happy, and compassionate life. As human beings, we all make mistakes, yet we often forget this simple truth when we judge others. It's easy to become angry or frustrated when someone else errs, especially when we feel personally affected by their actions. But how often do we stop to consider our own mistakes? The errors we've made, the times we've hurt others unintentionally, or acted out of selfishness. When we reflect on our own failings, it becomes clear that nobody is immune to making mistakes. And if we can remember this, it changes how we view the mistakes of others. Instead of reacting with anger, we can react with understanding and empathy. The nature of human error. Think about the times you've made a mistake without malicious intent. Perhaps you were rushed, distracted, or emotional. You may have said something hurtful to a friend during an argument, not because you wanted to harm them, but because you were overwhelmed with emotion. Later, when you had time to reflect, you regretted your words, wishing you could take them back. Or perhaps you've been in a situation where you made a poor decision at work. Maybe you missed an important detail in a project, and it led to failure. You didn't intentionally want to do a poor job, but in the moment, you lacked the clarity or focus needed to make the right call. How did you feel afterward? Guilty? Embarrassed? The truth is, people rarely set out to do wrong. Most mistakes arise from ignorance, distraction, or a misunderstanding of what is right. This is why Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we should not be quick to judge others for their mistakes. Instead, we should consider our own past errors and recognize that, like us, others are also trying their best within their limited understanding. Epictetus on reflecting on your own faults. Epictetus offers similar advice. When you are offended by someone else's wrongdoing, look inward and examine your own errors. Doing so will make you forget your anger. This is a powerful practice. The next time someone wrongs you, whether they cut you off in traffic, interrupt you in a meeting, or make an unfair comment, pause for a moment. Before reacting, think about a time when you made a similar mistake. Maybe you were in a rush and accidentally cut someone off. Maybe in a moment of stress, you said something thoughtless to a friend. Reflecting on your own mistakes brings a sense of humility. It reminds you that you too have made similar errors. In that moment, empathy takes the place of anger. You begin to understand that the other person likely didn't intend to hurt you. They were acting from their own limitations, just as you have acted from yours. The double standard, how we judge ourselves versus others. There's a curious double standard at play when it comes to mistakes. We tend to be far more forgiving of our own errors than those of others. When we make a mistake, we quickly rationalize it. We say, "I didn't mean to do that," or "I was just having a bad day," or "I didn't have all the information." In our minds, our mistakes are forgivable because we know our intentions weren't malicious. But when someone else makes a mistake, we often jump to conclusions. We assume the worst about their intentions. How could they do that to me, we think? They must be selfish or careless. We rarely extend to others the same understanding that we give ourselves. But why the double standard? If we want to cultivate a more compassionate and understanding attitude toward others, we need to break this cycle. The next time someone makes a mistake that affects you, try to see the situation from their perspective. Ask yourself, if I were in their shoes, could I have made the same mistake? Could there be reasons for their actions that I don't fully understand? Learning from Socrates, no one does wrong willingly. This idea that people rarely do wrong willingly is one of the central teachings of Socrates. He believed that people always act according to what they think is right, even if they are mistaken. When someone tells a lie, for example, they do so because they believe it will protect them or benefit them in some way. When someone acts selfishly, it's because they think that selfishness will bring them happiness. The problem isn't that people intentionally choose to do wrong. The problem is that they are mistaken in their understanding of what is truly good. They are blinded by ignorance, fear, or misguided desires. Consider the story of the Pharisees and Jesus. As Jesus was being crucified, he was mocked, beaten, and spat upon by the crowd. Despite the cruelty of their actions, Jesus did not respond with anger. Instead, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Jesus understood that the people's actions were driven by ignorance, not malice. They didn't understand the gravity of what they were doing. This is a powerful example of compassion in the face of wrongdoing. Like Jesus, we can strive to see the ignorance behind others' harmful actions. Instead of reacting with anger, we can respond with understanding and forgiveness. Marcus Aurelius on understanding the faults of others. Marcus Aurelius offers a similar lesson in his Meditations. He reminds us that people often act out of ignorance or misunderstanding. When we see someone do wrong, instead of becoming angry, we should reflect on the factors that led them to act that way. Whenever you are offended by someone's wrongdoing, Marcus advises, reflect on similar errors you have made and consider that they were compelled by something just as you have been. When someone acts rudely toward you, consider the possibility that they are stressed, overwhelmed, or dealing with personal issues you know nothing about. When someone makes a mistake at work, reflect on the times when you've been under pressure and made a similar error. This perspective not only helps you to be more forgiving, but it also helps you to approach situations with a greater sense of calm. Instead of reacting emotionally, you can respond thoughtfully. You can choose to address the situation in a way that promotes growth and understanding, rather than escalating conflict. Musonius Rufus on the need for patience and guidance. Musonius Rufus, another Stoic philosopher, takes this idea further by emphasizing the need for patience and guidance when dealing with the faults of others. He reminds us that not everyone has had the same advantages in life. Some people were raised in environments that didn't foster good habits or moral values. Others may not have had access to the same education or opportunities for growth. As Musonius puts it, some are more quick-witted, while others are slower to learn. Some are raised in better environments, while others are surrounded by poor conditions, bad habits, and inferior education. It's unreasonable to expect everyone to have the same level of understanding or the same ability to make good decisions. Just as a physically weak person requires more time and effort to build strength, someone with less moral or intellectual development may need more guidance and patience to grow. When we encounter someone who acts in a way that frustrates or offends us, we should remind ourselves of this. Instead of reacting with frustration, we can view the situation as an opportunity to help them grow. We can offer guidance, support, and understanding, turning wrongdoing into opportunities for virtue. Each time we encounter someone else's wrongdoing, we are presented with an opportunity for growth. Instead of becoming angry or upset, we can use the situation to practice virtues, such as patience, kindness, and forgiveness. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminds us that life's challenges are opportunities to practice virtue. When someone offends us, it's a chance to practice self-control. When someone makes a mistake, it's an opportunity to practice compassion. When we are faced with difficult people, we can practice understanding and tolerance. In this way, the faults of others become a training ground for our own personal growth. We learn to approach each situation with a sense of calm and clarity, recognizing that the only thing we can truly control is our own reaction. Conclusion: a path to greater compassion and understanding. In the end, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. We all act out of ignorance or misunderstanding from time to time. But instead of reacting with anger or frustration when others do wrong, we can choose a different path. We can choose to reflect on our own faults, to see the humanity in others, and to respond with kindness and understanding. The next time someone makes a mistake that affects you, pause. Reflect on your own past mistakes. Consider the possibility that the other person didn't mean to do wrong. That, like you, they are simply doing the best they can with the knowledge they have. By practicing this mindset, you'll not only find greater peace within yourself, but you'll also contribute to creating a more compassionate and understanding world. Let me know if you'd like further elaboration or any specific section extended.